Hi, you guys. Today our presentation is A Big Little Lies, Ethical Commentary. This is by Olivia Eggman and Lauren Casarino.
So our project is based on the limited series Big Little Lies on HBO. This show portrays the life of five upper-class women who live in Monterey, California. It shows how the women navigate motherhood as well as how they cope with living with a big lie. Specifically, we're going to be focusing on Jane Chapman, a main character in the show, as she copes with living in a new town and healing from her past trauma. So Jane is a particularly interesting person to analyze because she's a complex character who undergoes a transformation throughout her course in the show. She's a single mother who is grappling with the challenges of raising her son Ziggy, who lives in a privileged and often judgmental community. Jane is forced to confront societal perceptions and her own beliefs about identity, morality, and justice. Her struggle to reconcile her traumatic past with her present life reveals complex layers of resilience and vulnerability, making her an embodiment of the human condition. Also, the accusations against Ziggy, her son, challenge Jane to evaluate notions of responsibility, character, and truth while also questioning the biases and assumptions of those around her. These themes invite a deeper inquiry into how individuals navigate moral ambiguity, respond to adversity, and strive for self-understanding.
All right, let's look at this first clip here. And in this clip, we can see that Jane doesn't tell her son who his father is.
That is so exciting. Congratulations. So I organized some of the photos. Here's grandma, grandpa, cousins, brother, more cousins. I don't know if they're first or second, though, because I'm not sure who
Okay, wait, first of all, we have to draw the tree. That's the most important thing, and I want it actually on the cardboard. Here you go.
These things the child has to contribute.
Yeah, put the trunk on there, and you're gonna be in the trunk, and then your mom and dad are gonna leaves, and then we'll go from there.
What about our father?
We
We need to put him in here.
You don't have a dad, sweetie, so it's okay. We'll use grandma, grandpa, and me, and great Uncle Jimmy.
I still have to write my dad's name on the board.
Well, you know, I said that, but everybody's board is gonna be a little bit different.
You have to write down both of your parents' names. I'll get in trouble if I don't.
No, you won't get in trouble.
I want you to put it down. What is his name? Just write it down.
I don't know. You know that. I've told you the story so many times. You know he would have loved you, but
What is his name, for Christ's sake?
go to your room. That is not okay.
Please, Abigail.
All right. Okay, so we are going to look at this example with help from Bernard Williams. So in his piece titled Negative Responsibility in Two Examples, Bernard Williams views personal commitments as integral to an individual's moral identity. Williams would analyze Jane's commitment to protecting her son, Ziggy, and her decision not to tell him who his father is through his concept of integrity and his critique of utilitarianism. This lens highlights how Jane's actions reflect her deeply held values and commitments, central to her identity as a mother and a survivor of trauma. Her decision emphasizes the importance of shielding Ziggy from a truth that could harm his sense of self, rather than prioritizing an abstract notion of utility. Even though she knows that Ziggy is very upset that he doesn't know who his father is, she wants to protect him by not telling him. This perspective underscores that her actions are morally justified because they preserve her integrity and align with her commitment to create a safe and nurturing environment for her son. All right, so we're going to look at this next clip, and this clip is in the first season of the show where Ziggy gets accused of bullying.
Him.
This way?
Yes, he tried to choke me.
What?
It wasn't me. Yes, it was.
Ziggy, sweetie, we just need you to say sorry.
I didn't do anything. I didn't.
Are you sure that it was this little boy, sweetie?
Could she have got it wrong? Can you say you're sorry to Emma Bella? She's hurt quite badly.
It wasn't me.
Ziggy, look at me.
Promise. You don't have to lie. We just want to say we're sorry.
Ziggy doesn't lie.
I can
Right.
assure you Emma Bella's telling the truth.
If my son says he didn't do it, I believe him.
You know what? I don't know if this is the best
way to deal with this. So
I agree,
why don't
but
we
now we are. So maybe the child needs to take responsibility for his actions. And he needs to see there are consequences. Little boys don't get to go around anymore hurting little girls. And none of us want to raise bullies.
We'll see you tomorrow.
Do you see her neck? If you ever touch my little girl like that again, you're gonna be in big trouble.
Hey,
Excuse me.
Well,
Now you owe him an apology.
Madeline.
Renata.
All right. Apologize for the TikTok clip. There was limited clips on YouTube here.
Him.
All right. So in analyzing Jane Chapman's defense of Ziggy when he's accused of bullying, Ray Lanson's concepts from the Duty and Desolation article, particularly the ideas of moral duty and speech acts as resistance to silencing, offer an insightful framework. Langton discusses the moral duty to speak out in contexts where voices are silenced, emphasizing the ethical importance of resisting oppressive narratives and ensuring one's speech is given uptake in the moral community. As new members to the town, Jane and Ziggy are often by themselves and not receiving any support because they are new and people do not trust them. Jane's decision to defend Ziggy can be understood as an act of moral duty in the face of attempts to silence or dismiss her perspective as a single mother and a survivor of trauma. By standing up for Ziggy, Jane resists the school's community's rush to judgment, which risks labeling Ziggy as a bully without adequate evidence. This act aligns with Langton's view of speaking out as a way to challenge the misrepresentation or suppression of certain voices. Jane's defense of Ziggy is not only an assertion of his innocence, but also a way of ensuring that her and Ziggy's perspectives are not dismissed or overshadowed because they are new by dominant assumptions about her as a mother or Ziggy's behavior. Through Langton's lens, this brings to light how Jane's speech functions as a form of resistance against both systemic silencing and moral desolation. The conclusion is that Jane's actions fulfill a moral duty to challenge false narratives, protect her son, and ensure her voice is heard, highlighting the broader ethical importance of speaking out against unjust accusations. All right, so let's look at this third clip. And in this clip, Jane fantasizes about killing her abuser.
Celeste. Can I talk to you? Please. Celeste, can I talk to you?
No,
We'll go back to the car.
I'm not coming back with you.
Celeste,
No. I think she just needs a minute.
I appreciate your concern, but I'm talking to my wife, not you. Celeste, let's just go now. We have to talk about it.
No, I'm not coming home with you. So just don't do this in front of everyone. Do you understand? I'm not going.
All right.
Celeste.
Okay. So using Hershey's analysis of hatred, which seeks the removal or destruction of the harm causer rather than repair or reform, Jane Chapman's actions later in the series can be understood as expressions of hatred toward Perry Wright. This lens highlights moments such as Jane's violent fantasies before knowing her abuser's identity, as well as after, where her anger is not aimed at accountability or understanding, but at eliminating the source of her trauma. In this scene that we just watched, Jane's anger fuels her to attempt to kill her abuser. However, originally she was unable to confirm the identity of her abuser and was not able to kill him. After discovering Perry's identity as her abuser, her refusal to seek his redemption or moral improvement further exemplifies hatred, as her focus shifts entirely to exposing him and ensuring he faces consequences. This perspective brings to light how Jane's hatred functions as a protective mechanism, helping her emotionally sever ties with Perry and view him as irredeemable. The conclusion is that Jane's hatred is not just an emotional response, but a necessary act of self-preservation and empowerment, allowing her to reject Perry's influence and prevent further harm.
All right, in this next clip, we're going to see Jane get a new romantic connection. This is the first connection that she has where she's able to open up after facing the abuse.
I think it's really neat how passionate you are about things.
Thank you. Are you passionate about things?
Yeah, of course I am. You know, I used to paint a lot. I was really into art. Now, I'm mostly passionate about my son. I have a kid. I probably should have told you that earlier, but it's kind of a weird thing to bring up. I think it's really...
All right, so in Frichter's epistemic injustice and role for virtue in the politics of knowing, he argues that individuals can experience testimonial injustice, where someone's credibility is unjustly questioned or diminished due to prejudice, and hermeneutical justice, where a person's experiences or perspectives are not fully understood or given a voice due to gaps in collective understanding. We can see this in Jane's relationship with Corey as testimonial injustice and hermeneutical injustice. Jane is a survivor of sexual violence, and so she faces testimonial injustice when her credibility is questioned by others and when her trauma is not fully recognized in her interactions with society. She's deeply impacted by this type of injustice, especially when she internalizes the feeling that her trauma is something she must hide or feel ashamed of. The social climate around her in Monterey may dismiss or downplay the validity of women's experiences with assault and show how epistemic injustice works in the world. And Corey's role specifically in Jane's life is a contrast to this, which helps to heal some of the epistemic injustice she faces. Corey listens to Jane without any prejudice or judgment, and he offers a form of testimonial justice for her. He gives her a space to share her truth and believes her, allowing her to reclaim her voice in a way that counters the silencing efforts of epistemic injustice. He serves as an epistemic virtuous agent, someone who practices open-mindedness, which Fricker thinks is essential for countering epistemic injustice. Corey provides the kind of support that Fricker calls for in order to foster better, more epistemic environments where people's knowledge and lived experiences are not dismissed or ignored. Jane's journey towards healing and engaging in a relationship with Corey can be seen as her achieving justice, as she slowly allows herself to trust again and make sense of her trauma with a new supportive relationship. And Corey, through his consistent empathy, supports Jane in navigating the world that has failed to recognize and make sense of her pain. All right, in this last clip, we're gonna see Jane opening up more as she gains her voice about her past and her assault.
Has shared with me that she and Perry had a complicated sex life, one that included violence.
She shared that with you?
Yes. And it makes me wonder if perhaps he misinterpreted or misread a signal from you.
Your son raped me, and as he was doing so, I was screaming for him to get off. I don't think that you misread that.
I don't mean to offend you. I can't surrender to this notion that he was evil.
Jane ends up deciding to share her traumatic story of her sexual assault with Celeste and Madeline, who are her closest allies in the series. This act of disclosure is a step towards healing for her in a moment that demonstrates her moral and interpersonal complexity. Through the lens of Peter Strawson's Freedom and Resentment, this moment shows a connection between reactive and objective attitudes in interpersonal relationships. By revealing her past, Jane invites Celeste and Madeline into her vulnerability, opening the door for their sympathetic participant attitudes like empathy and support. These are central to maintaining meaningful human relationships, as Strawson argues. At the same time, this challenges the women to reconcile their growing awareness of Perry's identity as Jane's rapist with their previous experience of him as a family member or friend. Strawson's discussion of moral responsibility becomes relevant here, as the group must navigate feelings of anger and blame towards Perry while also understanding the power dynamics that shaped his actions. Jane's story complicates the balance between holding Perry morally accountable through resentment and anger and understanding the broader context of his behavior. This tension reflects Strawson's argument about the limits of adopting a purely objective attitude, as the moral fabric of interpersonal relationships is built on reactive responses like compassion, outrage, and solidarity. Jane's willingness to share her story became a motivator of empowerment for the group, which illustrates how reactive attitudes are central to addressing harm and seeking justice. All right, that is everything we have for you guys. I hope you enjoyed.
Thank you guys.